Okay, so 5 minutes are passed. Sorry, 5 minutes are passed, but no one has joined yet. Still, I think I'll continue with today's session as we have only one assigned hour with us. So if anyone joins, they can go forward with the rest of the session, or this video anyway would be available online for people to view. So I'll just start the session and move forward. Okay, so today's session is for assignment 10 of week 10 for the past run of urban governance and development management. I'll be discussing assignment 10 from the past run of this subject, and we'll discuss questions related to that. So this is a list of what all topics that are covered in this week. I'll just give a brief overview of all the lectures that have been covered. So this would be from lectures 46 to 50, and it would include first fundamentals of project planning, in which you would have learned what a project is, how you define a project, what are the different stages of a project, how each stage is significant in the project's life cycle. Then would have studied basics of project planning and management. Next, you would have studied formulation of projects, in which you would have studied basic project formulation, the principles of project formulation, then elements of DPR, that is detailed project report, how what are the elements of a DPR, how it is prepared and everything. And then you would have seen some examples of the DPR. Then you would have seen you would have had the lecture project monitoring and management, in which you would have studied why project monitoring is needed, and then the different stages of project monitoring, and then what activities are there in each of the stage. Then you would have studied a little bit about project procurement, how a project is procured by the person or the organization handling the project. Then a little bit about monitoring and management of projects, and implementation of projects, and finally a little bit about what is the process, completion and post-completion of the project. In the next lecture, you would have studied essentials of infrastructure and engineering design. This would have included the nature and types of engineering activities, then fundamental engineering considerations, which go into engineering design and infrastructure design. Then few commonly used terminology which revolves around infrastructure and engineering design. Last lecture in this week would have been managing trans-municipal and large projects. So this pertains to the project which goes beyond the boundaries of jurisdiction of only one municipality. So what you would have studied in this is why large projects are needed, why they are undertaken, what is their role, where do they come in rules and such things. Then you would have studied the concerns related to trans-municipal projects, what are the problems and difficulties or challenges one faces while handling such big projects. and then what are the approaches and methods which can be used to handle such projects. So this is a general overview of what all has been covered this week. We'll move on to the questions now. So questions this week also are very similar uh, to the questions in the past run are very similar to the questions which are assigned in the present run of this course. So again, I won't be giving out the answers to these questions. I'll just be telling you the background material to each questions and the approach of how you need to approach the question in order to solve it correctly, in order to narrow down to the correct answer. Okay, so let's start. Our first question is MS Project and Primavera are examples of PM tools. What does PM mean in this context? So you would have studied about this a little bit about this when you would have studied PM tools and methods. I won't tell you what PM is because that is the answer to this question. But I'll tell you what other tools and methods you would have discussed in this, so that you can narrow down to what is the correct answer to this question, or which uh, part of your lectures this question is talking about. So you would have studied PM tools as this list. Among this list, there is Primavera and MS Project, which are mentioned in this question. So this is a list of tools and methods which are used for managing or designing or taking care of uh, uh, all the different tasks and different constraints of any project. So different types of tools and methods can be used for this. For example, you can make a work plan. You can plan out your work, write down what different components are, which component is to go after which component needs finishing of other components as such, and you can plan your work like that. Then you can make a bar chart. So bar chart again would be uh, based on the time different projects are going to take. So based on the time, you can prepare a bar chart based on days, weeks, or even months, which a project which are going to go into a project. And then you can, using a bar chart, you can visualize it in a graphical manner. Then you can also use network diagrams. So I'll written two types of network diagrams, which are the most common and most prominent ones used by uh, managers who are into this field. So the first is critical path method, which is called CPM, and the other is project evaluation and review technique, which is PERT, or it's even called PERT. So these are the two most prominent methods which are used for PM, and it is you can use these tools or methods to create network diagrams of different tasks which are associated with the project, and how one task will go after another task, how the tasks are interrelated, which tasks need to be finished first, which tasks come later, how much time is needed to finish one task, which tasks can be done simultaneously, which tasks need to be done separately. All such things can be evaluated and understood using these network diagrams. If anyone needs more information on these, I can provide you with background material for this. Please leave it on the forum, or just ask me in the messages of this meet, and I'll get back to you regarding the network diagrams. Next part of PM tools is decomposition of activities. So for any project, there are several activities related to the project. So if you decompose the activities into bits and pieces, so again, you can see which activities take how much time, which activity they go after, which activity needs to be done before those activity. All such things can be seen. Then activity sequencing and scheduling. So after decomposition of activity, you can put them in sequence and schedule according to how much time each is needing, which can be done simultaneously and such things. And then activity duration, you can see which activity is taking how much time. Then is critical activities and critical path method. So critical path method, I've sorry. Critical path method, I've already told you, it's type of a network diagram or method which is used uh, to study or to do PM. Let's continue. Then is duration compression techniques. So you would have studied about this. Duration compression techniques are basically techniques which you can use for PM, which are used to reduce the time of projects. So you see which tasks and activities can be compressed into smaller modules, and the overall task can be finished quicker. So these are all the different methods, and like the network diagram is one tool and bar charts are another tool. So similarly, there are two other tools which are software based tools, which is MS Project and Primavera. These can be used for PM as well. So I've provided the links to the website of these softwares. So you can go to these websites uh, and see about the softwares, what they are about, how they can be used. Maybe it can even help you answer the question, what are these tools used for, what they help you do. There are even introductory videos about MS Project and even Oracle P6, which is Primavera P6, and you can take a look at that and get to know a little bit more about both of these softwares. These both are very good tools to learn if you want to learn a little bit more of PM, especially Oracle's Primavera P6. It also has a certification course which you can do if you would like to do that. So I would highly recommend you to check these softwares out and see if they are useful to you. Moving on to the next question, which is food contract is a type of service provision contract, true or false? So this is a true or false question, and it's talking about boot. So boot is, as you know, it's build, own, operate, and transfer. It's kind of a PPP PPP uh, scheme for development of different projects and services, different infrastructures and services. So what this question is asking is if it's a service provision contract. So you would have studied this while you were studying different types of contract. So we studied basically two types of contract. The first is asset creation contracts and second are service provision contracts. So asset creation contracts are contracts in which at the end of the project you get some assets created by an organization, be it a public or private organization, or be it a PPP kind of uh, project execution. So at the end of the project, you get an asset as the output, and then there are service provision contracts. So as the end product of this type of contracts, you get some kind of service provided by the organization which is handling the project. So examples of asset creation contracts can be item rate projects, lump sum item rate contracts, lump sum contracts, turnkey contracts for turnkey projects. And for service provision contracts, there are management contracts. There are different kinds of lease agreements which if you recall, we had a class for I think week 6 where Professor Professor Uttam Kumar Roy joined us. He explained us a little bit more about lease agreements. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can even go back to that session and see what he explained. Then there are concession contracts which on which the organization gets some kinds of concession while they run some service provision. Then there are direct private investments and divestitures. So the main thing which we need to see here is about boot contract. So what boot exactly is? It's a type of a concession granting by the uh, public body to a concessionaire. So concessionaire is the organization who is handling the project. So the organization is responsible basically as it is built. So for the construction, own and operate. So for financing, operation and maintenance of the project, and it will operate the facility over a period of concession during which concession is given to the organization, and after that it will transfer the infrastructure or building or whatever it has built to the public body. So finally transferring the fully operation facility to the public body which is providing the concession. If you want to see a little bit more about this, I think I discussed this. First thing is you can go to URDPFI guidelines and you can see the different PPP models. You can see the different PPP models which are there. So among that only you can see types of concession type. Then there are supply management contracts, turnkey projects, lease, private ownership, and then BOT type contracts. In this you will see different kinds of projects and also then contracts based on the type of public-private partnership, what kind of contracts they are. So if you want to get to know a little bit more about this, you can go to the URDPFI guidelines. I've shared the guidelines with you. It is there in our shared folder where I share all the assignments, assignment presentations. So you can go and check the URDPFI guidelines there. Apart from that, you can even go to the PPT for assignment 6, week 6. In this, I explained a little bit about public-private partnership, and I explained different public-private models. So you can see there are supply and service contracts, management contracts, so turnkey projects, lease, concessions, franchisees, and in this also I explained to you about different kinds of BOT models and even BOT model. So if you want to know or read a little bit more about this, you can just check out week 6 assignment, or you can check out the video for week 7 where Professor Uttam Kumar Roy joined and he explained a little bit more about different types of contracts and lease agreements. Moving on to the next question, which is the establishment of optimal and least cost design is part of technical viability analysis of a project. So this again is a true or false statement, and this question actually pertains to your project development principles. So you would have studied this while you were studying different project development principles in your lectures. So these are the 7 principles which are part of any project development. Among that, one is technical viability. So technical viability is basically that you ensure that on a rational basis that if the project is viable or not. So you see the different norms, different standards, if if that allows the project to be can it be constructed, can it be operated, and such things. You see the different theories, different principles related to the functioning of that particular infrastructure, and you see, like, if seeing rationally, can the project be constructed, can it be functional, can it be operated, such things. Then you also see the optimal and least cost of design of the project. So uh, optimal and least cost are two things, which are: optimal is the correct, like, least is the minimum amount in which you can execute the project and keep it operational, and optimal cost is the cost in which, like, it's not the least amount, it's a little bit more than the least amount, but it's the appropriate amount in which the project can be the best it can be. So by applying that amount of investment or finance into that project, you can get the best possible results, which can be achieved with the best value for the cost you are incurring in developing and operating that project. And then also we see about recognizing the different commercial costing principles related to that project. So these are all the things which you consider while studying the technical viability of that project. Apart from that, there are things like sector integration. So in that you see if different parts of overall plan are integrated together, and which city or region and sector is critical to it. Then you see if it is approved and approved by different kinds of stakeholders which belong to different sectors of the society or administrative system or community and such things. And then you see commercial viability from a societal point of view. So that is sector integration. Then there is the financial sustainability and economic viability, which is similar. You identify and earmark the funds which are needed for uh, operation and maintenance of the project, and then replacement costs. Then you see the economic benefits is it's generating, and then you judge based on that, okay, the cost it's incurring and the benefits it's producing. Is it making it viable according to that or not? Then you see different things like what kind of user charges you can levy, what is the level of service which it will provide to the user for this to be acceptable and such things. Then there are environmental and social safeguards in which you see if the project is not is sort of not harming the environment in some way, or even if it is to some extent, it is not so much that it is disrupting the environment completely and breaking environmental and social integrity. And essentially we try to reduce the risks as much as possible, and we try to safeguard the environment and our social. Then is institutional arrangement. So you see, for this you see the institutional capacity. If there is enough institutional capacity to handle the project, to implement it, to maintain it, and things. So many a times, as I've mentioned it earlier also, many a times the public body does not have enough institutional capacity. So in those cases, either the public body outsources the project to someone, or then there are PPP options. So just to get over the hurdle of not having enough institutional capacity, such things are. So that is another principle of project development. Then that's obviously legal and regulatory framework. We have to see to clear all the statutory clearances, you get all the approvals duly addressed, uh, and then there is procurement. So even after all of this, you have to see if you are able to procure the goods and services in a transparent manner. Is it ensuring efficiency? Is the procurement of is the process of procurement transparent, and such things. So I hope it is clear to you what are the different development principles and among that, technical viability. I hope it's very clear to you because this question is related to technical viability, and I hope you can answer the question. Moving on to the next question, which is in a typical project, the execution stage is followed by dash stage. So you are given 4 options: control, planning, closure, and definition. So you would have studied these two diagrams. I don't know if you can see. These are two diagrams which you would have studied about the life cycle of a project. So first is the project life cycle, how a project starts and what stages it follows, and then maybe it can be uh, a circular process in which some components of the project are repeated over and over, or it can even be a linear process, and which is represented by the second diagram you can see, and second diagram also shows you the different stages which are there in the project. So first is the initiating process, or in this diagram you can see the project definition you can see. So you define what are the components of the project, what is needed, what is to be constructed, or what kind of services to be provided, and such things. Then the second is planning. You plan for the project, how the project is to be constructed, built, operated, and such things. Everything which goes around the planning comes here. Then is the execution. So after you've planned how the construction, operation, management, everything will happen, then you execute the process, you construct the project, you start its operation and maintenance. So after the execution, you start monitoring and controlling processes. So you see uh, if the project was executed properly or not, if it's the infrastructure or the service that is provided is running smoothly or not, is it providing the services in a transparent manner or not. So all such things come under controlling and monitoring process. Then is the closure or the execution of the project, which comes at the end of the project life cycle. So I hope it is clear to you what a project life cycle looks like, what are the different stages, and I hope it's clear to you what the correct option for this question is. Moving on to the next question, which is which of the following documents consists of a pre-feasibility study? We are given 4 options. First is the detailed project report, second is urban development plan, fact assessment, and then enforcement and control. So I'll tell you a little bit about what all 4 of these are, and then I'll also show you the URDPFI guideline where a little detail of these is mentioned, and where we can get a little more idea of what different components mentioned in this question are, how are they related, and for what a pre-feasibility study is actually conducted. So first, DPR or detailed project report. So what DPR is actually, it's an elaborate and extensive outline of any project. So it includes essential information relating to the project, like different resources which are needed, different tasks which are to be carried out, and such things. And essentially, it is a document, sort of a roadmap or guideline, in order to make the project turn into a success. Then urban development plan. So it is actually a statutory plan, and it is prepared to provide necessary details and intended actions in form of strategies and physical proposals. So as you already know, there are perspective plans and regional plans. So in order, it is urban development plan is a step further in the process of execution of the perspective and the regional. So, based on the various policies given in the perspective and regional plan, and depending upon the socio-economic needs of the people, uh, urban development plans are created, and they are sort of elaboration in the form of different strategies and actual physical proposals for development of an urban area. Then next is impact assessment. So impact assessments are basically uh, assessment processes which are carried out to assess the consequence of any individual project. So imagine any individual project, right? Okay. So impact assessments are carried out to assess the consequences of individual projects. So imagine a project like a road construction project, or a dam building project, or even building an industrial facility somewhere. So there are definitely some kind of impact all of these projects are going to have. They'll have some impact on the environment surrounding the project. They'll have some impact on the people living in that area. Maybe some people would be displaced. Maybe some people would gain employment. So it can have both negative and positive impacts. So, impact assessments are conducted to assess what kind of different impacts a project is having, and if the project is really should be executed, or if it really has more benefits than it has drawbacks. And such assessments are done. A very prominent example of impact assessment, which you might even be knowing, is environmental impact assessment, or EIA. So EIA is a process which is used to evaluate the environmental impacts, likely environmental impacts of any project, uh, and it takes into account different interrelated, like not only environmental factors but even socioeconomic, cultural, and human health impact related functions. And then again, as I discussed, it sees both the benefits and the adverse effects of the project, and then it evaluates or assesses, as it's an impact assessment, if the project should be carried out or not, or in order to for the project to have least amount of adverse effects, what things can be done. So that is what an impact assessment is. And then the fourth option is enforcement and control. So it is carried out basically after execution of a project, as you saw here in uh, the different stages of a project life cycle. So it's carried out for seeing and assessing if the project has been implemented and enforced correctly, if it's dispersing services and infrastructure in a transparent and accessible, efficient manner. Okay, so I hope this clarifies to you what all these four components are. Another thing which you can do is you can go here uh, to our shared folder section, and you can have a look at the URDPFI guidelines. And here you can okay, you can come to this table. I hope it's visible to you, and you can see what different documents it is talking about and how they are related. So you can even see, like the urban development plan or development plan we were talking about comes here, and you can see the details of that. And then we are talking about project, or it says research, but it can be a research project or infrastructure development project and such. And then you can even see what are the different kinds of reports which are prepared for project, or different kinds of documents. There is pre-feasibility, feasibility study documents, DPRs, schemes and sub-projects, survey studies, and another thing which I think would be really helpful is that you go to this diagram. This is a diagram which explains to you the relationship of planning system, and what is the relationship between different plans and different project reports and such things. So you can see how perspective plan is related to the regional plan and to the development plan. Then development plan has subcomponents like local area plan, special purpose plan, and then how different components like the regional plan, perspective plan, development plan, and everything is related to an annual plan, which is the execution. And then you can see this tells you increased level of detail. So perspective plan, as you all already know, it's not a detailed plan, so it highlights only policy objectives or the goals which any area uh, aims to achieve. Similarly is the regional plan, and then we start detailing out what kind of physical development we want. Then we start detailing out the projects, what based on the local area, what kind of projects we need, and then based on that we develop a specific project and research reports. So I think, and you can see more in the text explanation for this, and you can get a better idea of what this question is asking. So I think that again is helpful. Uh, so this question I think is very clear now, and let's move on to the next question, which is sector integration is one of the principles of what? So ULB finance is urban local body finance. So this you would have studied in the previous lectures, which explain to you municipal finance. So you might already know what ULB finance is. Then we would have studied LIG housing finance. This we studied in the last week lectures. So different kinds of housing finance techniques and methods for low income groups. Then is project development, which we are studying this week. And then slum clearance. So this also you would have studied in the last week's lectures. So I hope all of these are clear to you. And again, you can see here and explain to you what are the principles of project development. So this question is again pertaining to the same principles, and I hope it is very clear to you what the correct answer for this question is. On to the next one. So this question is choose the option which best describes the criteria for pre-qualification of contractors. So you would have studied pre-qualification and post-qualification of contractors. So there are qualifications which you need before the signing of the project, and then after the project is assigned to a contractor. So for pre-qualification, there are things like different types of classes of works which are needed to be done for the project, or which is what kind of project period there would be, how long they would take, and then there would be subsequent evaluation. So these are the things which we generally see from the contractors, and there are different criteria on which we seek this qualification. So this question basically mentions those criteria. And then there is post qualification. So like you see the basic requirement, if the contractor is fulfilling the basic requirements of the different criteria or not. And then there is a two-stage evaluation in which you kind of in an iterative manner you keep evaluating if the project is being executed in a proper way or not. So this question, as I said, it pertains to the different criteria on which these pre and post qualifications are measured. And you would have studied this while studying the pre and post qualification. So it basically mentions three type of criteria. First is the organizational structure, second is the technical expertise, third is the financial strength, and the fourth option gives you all three of the above options. So you have to think about this very carefully. Organizational structure basically means what kind of organizational structure the contractor has. Does it have enough capacity to handle the project? It is organized. Is it organized in a way that that the company, the contractor can handle the project in a efficient manner, and it can display the processes and communicate the execution of the project in a transparent manner. Such things are related to the organizational structure. Then there is technical expertise, which also should be there with the contractor. He should know all the technical knowledge related to the execution, operation, and management of the project. That is also there. And then there is the financial strength. So this pertains to whether the contractor has enough financial capacity to bear the expenses of construction cost and operation and management cost of the project or not. While considering other things, like he's definitely going to levy user charges if there is some kind of service provision for that, and then maybe he's going to get some kind of lease from the government or the public body, or there's kind of going to be some sort of concession or such things. So all those things combined together let us know what the financial strength of the contractor is and how he can take care of the project and manage it. So these are the different criteria. So I think it should be very clear to you what these different criteria are, and if either one of them is essential for pre-qualification, or all three of them are. So that is your choice here. I hope it is clear to you. Moving on to the last question for today's session. So this question is replace X, Y, and Z in the following text with appropriate words. So project is a X set of interrelated tasks to be executed over a fixed Y and within certain Z and other limitations. So you are given different options. So for X you are given accumulated, documented, planned, and calculated. For Y there is budget, period. For Z there is resources and cost. So this is basically, as you can see it very clearly, it's a definition of what a project is. You would have studied this in your lectures, I think in first lecture of this week, of what a project is. So I hope it is, if you know the definition, if you or you've read it, it should be clear to you what a project is. You have to basically see if what kind of interrelated tasks are there in the project. Are they planned tasks? Are they properly documented tasks? Or are they accumulated tasks, calculated tasks? Accumulated, you know, that is accumulated in a place. Documentation usually comes after something is executed. So you have to see if project is, like the definition of project is saying about something which has been already executed, which needs to be documented, or is it talking about something which is planned and needs to be done. So I hope that can make you clear if it's documented or planned. And then there is another option which is calculated. So calculated set of interrelated tasks. So is this talking about what calculated tasks are there, what kind of some calculation related to different tasks and such things. And then is Y. So executed over a fixed Y. So over a fixed, it can be can it be over a fixed time? Is it executed over a fixed time, or is it executed over fixed budget? I think it is executed within a fixed budget, because budget is something within which you have to limit yourself, but it is executed over a certain period, as you know about the project. So Y is related to that, and I hope you can choose the answer from this. This was the last question for today's session. Thank you very much for attending this session. I'll take any questions if you have. We don't have any members in the meeting present, so I don't think anyone can ask any question in today's session. So you can ask any of your doubts if you have any doubts in the live session, in the next live session, or maybe on the forum. I'll get to the questions both places, maybe in the next live session or in the forum. You're free to ask your questions. You're free to go through this video and the question answer session during on the YouTube upload. And if you have any doubts, please let me know over the forum or in the next live session. Thank you for watching today's live session, and we'll see you in the next one.